Guys, I think I found the definitive cable for high sensitivity efficient loudspeakers. Are you ready to know more? Let's dive in. Okay, guys, yes. If, and I want to underline, if you have vintage, I would say, but more correctly, more precisely, efficient cables, meaning a high sensitivity, I would say at least 94, 95 upwards, then the cables I'm about to explain, disclose, is probably the best you can get, in my opinion, at least, because I had great results and the cost is very good, considering what it is. Okay, let's start. Okay, guys, as you know, in my last video, I have revealed that I've, for months now actually, purchased, listened, I'm adoring my new Altic 19, Model 19 speakers, vintage speakers. Here is a link. You're going to find all the links in the video description. Clearly, as I mentioned in that video, I was exploring some cables, starting with my nice juicy fat ones. And they were just not enough, not the right choice in the end. And I decided to try something completely different, okay? Now, considering these are, as we said, high sensitivity, hence meaning that you do not need that much power, although you can use amplifiers with a little more muscle, but usually when you get high sensitivity, you're going more towards SET, OTL, or just tube-based power amplifiers or integrated amplifiers, whatever it is, with a low number of watts. 10, 20, 30, 40, something like that, usually. In any case, around that. But I don't think that's not even that important in the end. But let's say that if we're not talking about hundreds of watts and you're below 60, maybe this is the right cable for you. Which in fact is not a power cable. It's not even considered a cable. It's a wire. Yes. It's a wire. It is the SOST, the SOST. In my case, the gauge is 16, so it's called SOST 16 by Neotech. Solid core UPOCC silver. Pure silver. But OCC silver, guys, the best of the best. With Teflon insulation. As you know, who follows me, and it's not only my opinion, the combination of OCC copper, or even better, silver, with Teflon, the electrics, is just the perfect match. In fact, this wire can perfectly easily be used inside the speakers themselves or other components because it's so thin. It's 16 gauge, which in millimeters is 1.29 millimeters. Not that much at all. I know. A lot of people are going to start claiming, but the resistance in that is going to go up. It's going to go crazy. It's going to sound terrible. I was afraid about that. But we must remember, think that all the different negative aspects, the more scientific negative aspects of cables, meaning capacitance, meaning resistance, clearly the worst of all actually, meaning inductance, and among other problems, we're connected also to the electrics, the skin effect, etc., even though the skin effect is something regarding higher frequencies. In any case, the solution and problem is that in reality, our cables are too short to show those negative aspects. Those negative aspects take place, do have a bad influence, a negative influence on the sound when they're meters and meters, if not miles, okay, for connecting things across a city, two cities, or things like that, okay? We have so short, the length is so short that you're never going to have true differences if you're having a 2 meter cable or a 3 meter cable, and if it's ultra thin, because in order to have less resistance and usually with a connection with more watts, you should use a nice thick cable in order to just have a better passage, let's say, in not scientific terms. But the principles are valid, what I'm telling you. So I decided to try because I knew that once again our cables are very short, no problems there, and in fact, once I connected them, wow, baby, wow, mama. Now let's take a step backward. I forgot to say the price. The price, obviously, we're talking about silver, okay? Not only silver, OCC silver, the purest of all, and per foot, which is about 30 centimeters, 33, something like that, I found a good price. I'll put the link if you want. I have no affiliation whatsoever, no benefits, no nothing. For 1 foot I found it for $48. But you can find it also in other shops, maybe for a little more, 50, 52, 55. It depends, clearly. Probably if you buy a lot, the price will drop. Now you can find it also on Audiophonics. It's a European site which I usually mention in my videos. You're going to find the link also there. I think they have also that gauge. But if the connectors of your speakers are not teeny weeny like my Altic, you could go for something even more thicker. Nevertheless, remember that the thicker they are, meaning that the lower is the gauge, the more it's going to cost a lot. And for those of you who don't want to go and spend that amount of money, which is perfectly reasonable, I understand. I wouldn't do so the same if I were in the beginning, in the inception of this passion, or simply in a phase where I'm a student or things like that. When I was a student, I couldn't even dream about silver. So there is an excellent solution for a fraction of the price for the same identical thing, but in OCC copper, always by Neotech. I'll put here a reference. So if it's silver, better. If it's copper, no problem. It's going to be top-notch sonics. Also because usually the wiring inside the speakers is made of copper, like everything else of the components. So you have a better synergy in the end. Nevertheless, that little oomph, that little better performance of silver can help. But as you know, I'm a big fan of homogeneous electrical characteristics throughout, meaning don't change the metals, don't put metals one on top of the other, plating and things like that. I do not like that. So I think these are incredible. I was using a high quality Toonami Oyaide cable, ripped it off, put this in, and everything just bloomed. Not a night and day difference, okay? Because the Oyaide was already very high quality. But when I inserted this, you just heard a little bit more open up of the scene, a little more detail, finesse. Clearly, as I always say, it depends also from what you are listening, what type of music. And you know also that I hate to describe cables. There isn't that much to say because cables take away. So the less I have to say, the more we're listening to your components, obviously, but also the recording. That is where high fidelity resides. So, meaning that these cables are quite neutral. They have a very low impact in sound, and they just give that extra 10% that everybody wants. Please try, because the cost and benefits, I think it's worthwhile. Maybe not that easy to find, but once you've done it, and you have to take account of how the length, okay? Because you have to calculate, because in the end, summing up every little foot, the final quantities, since you have 2 connectors per amplifier, per channel, per speaker, summing up, you have 4 cables, which can eat up a little bit of your budget. So keep that in mind. Okay, guys, if you have suggestions for thin cables, because apart from this solution I'm presenting, a lot of people prefer thin cables, okay? It's not something new I'm talking about. So if you have comments in that direction, I'm interested. Put them in the comments here below. We're all interested. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you again for watching, and thank you for listening to the bells. Goodbye.
Well, guys, if you're enjoying my videos and you're enjoying my channel, please consider to subscribe by clicking the black and white logo here below. Also, don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll never miss an episode and you will become a true member of the analog community.